So you join me to talk about my Revo Stage 2 Focus RS. I'm going to go through all the mods for this car, and I've got like on my phone basically everything that you kind of need for it. I picked up this car, well, early kind of January, and yeah, let's just go through everything about it and what kind of makes this car extra special. And to do that, if I open her up, inside, oh, it's such a nice place in here. I love it so much. We'll have to open the bonnet. Now, double pull, I think it is. And we're going to talk about all the bits inside. But actually, before we go outside, let me just quickly say to you, this is the tune here. Hopefully you can see it a little bit on my phone. But basically, Revo Stage 2's tune gives you between 405 brake horsepower to 440 brake horsepower. That's the idea. But in order to get those kind of figures, and I have seen videos from basically about 5 years ago, where it does give you about a 90 horsepower gain and yeah, an extra about 100 pounds-foot of torque. You need the hardware to kind of do it. You need a few things to get part of that. This car has the Revo Stage 2 as part of it. I believe it's had it since about 2019, this car being a 2018 car. I'm filming this in January 2023. You'll be watching this in March, by the way. This is when all these kind of videos are going to go live about this car. And I've been so fascinated about what Revo have said about this engine, and I'll come back and talk about that. But let's go through what is actually part of this car, because I'm going to have to load up the hardware requirements because it's got quite a lot of things that you need. And actually, I can kind of start at the back actually. The thing that you actually need to get this working is you need a Mk3 downpipe with a sports cap. And if we go to the back, and I might, well, you'll hear it at some point, you can see that this car has a different exhaust, and I'll show underneath the car as well. It's basically part of the system, so the ECU works with it to be able to actually get it working in that way. Without that, you're not going to be able to get the airflow, and it's not going to work as much. It's almost a straight pipe, but then basically the sports cat's at the end, and it just adds a little bit of resonator. It's not too loud. It has a very loud startup, but it does quiet down, which I'm a big fan of. My previous cars I've mentioned in a previous video was a little bit too loud. Now, what goes really great in this car is what's under the bonnet. Now, my car has these Mountune bonnet vents. This is nothing to do with Revo. I do believe they actually do allow the air to cool a little bit, and there's holes drilled in there, and it does do a job. I think they look quite nice because they makes the car a little bit more muscular. But yeah, each their own really. And yeah, if they actually do a purpose, and we open her up, oh, it's so nice. It's so nice. Yeah, FJRS, I believe they're in Essex, fitted it, and you can see the holes there, and it's, yeah, that's been on there since 2019, so that's cool. You got like the heated washer jets and stuff in there. Yeah, as you can see, this is not a standard Focus RS. 2.3 litre EcoBoost engine, normally developing about 350 brake horsepower, around about that. This car obviously has up to a 90 horsepower gain and more torque as well. That is absolutely massive. But let's go through it. There's a lot of like air tech bits as well on here. Let me grab my phone as well. So you've got like the Revo air intake system, Revo intercooler as well, and then the Revo intercooler pipe upgrade, which I just think looks amazing. And this is what it needs for the hardware to actually get it all working. It won't just work by itself, you know, you actually need these kind of parts to actually, yeah, to get the full works. So you've got air tech related pipes as well to it. You've got an air tech intercooler, which I can't show you because it's under there, and that just allows the car to keep cool. And the one thing that this engine suffers from is a little bit of like heat soak, and they kind of talk about that as well. It lacks off as the engine gets too hot. So all these things are actually not only able to increase more power, but they actually make the car last a little bit longer. I mean, it looks cool. I love that the little plate with AirTech Motorsport on it. I love how it's in nitrous blue there, and the hoses are all part of it. It's got the Revo torque mount as well, which basically kind of fixes the engine in place. It's got actuators. I mean, I can't even look inside. It's got so many bits. We'll head back inside and we'll talk a little bit more about it, because basically, and hopefully you can see a little bit of what I'm kind of reading on screen and what I'm talking to you about, just about the software. Now, it says specifically here, it says it enhances power delivery. I'll put some power graphs and curves on the car as well. And trust me, I mean, this is a fast car now with this Revo Stage 2 software. And the thing is, which was such great about this company, Revo and stuff, they were very used to the car. So back in 2016, basically what they said was the Mustang had the same engine, and they developed it and they worked with it, and they worked about what was kind of needed to improve it. And I'll leave a link to what I'm reading as well if you were interested. And it basically just says how Stage 2 utilizes the hardware upgrades and obviously sorts out the performance. The stuff that I love is it has better temperature control, it monitors the oil better, the intake pressure, the exhaust gases, and it reduces power if it gets too high. And basically they saw problems with the 2.3. You know, there's stuff that they could improve, and they found that they wanted to make some improvements. And that was the one thing that was worrying about me. I wasn't sure if this car was going to be particularly reliable, but actually with these bits it probably makes it more reliable, which is weird. Obviously if you just hammer it too hard, you're going to have issues. This car comes with a speed limit unlock, so as part of the normal Focus RS it'll do about 166 miles an hour, which is pretty quick. Bear in mind most German cars are sort of locked at 155. This, I don't know what it will do, but I reckon it would get into 170, 175. The RPM limit has been increased, but what's cool is the car will actually flash up a little RS badge there, which I have seen on some drives, when it's hit peak power, and that RS will flash when it's saying if you keep revving it, you're not going to gain any more. So even though the RPM limit is increased, it doesn't necessarily gain you any power as you're going from it. Temperature protection is a really big thing because you know, you want to monitor all of this stuff, and the Revo software helps that, and it just will basically automatically stop the driver being a bit of a going too hard on the car, and protect the engine. It's also got stuff for the for switchable port, which is I think is another software you can get. You can plug into the OBD port, and it will basically tell you if you run it on 99 fuel or 95 fuel, and it will decrease the power or increase the power accordingly. I only run this car on 99. I don't know what it's been run on in previous years. I'm obviously like, you know, this car's 5 years old. It's been owned by another person. Don't know how they run it. I get the impression it's been looked after very well, so yeah, I think they probably have been putting it on 99. Then we go on to the power graphs, and just obviously the higher the power graph, which I've shown you on screen, I'll show you again, is very, very good. Talks about performance time. Stock, bear in mind this is a manual gearbox. My car has a short shifter as well, which again is not mandatory as part of like Revo software, but it just makes things better. Certainly in my opinion. This car has so many modifications, and I think the AirTech intercooler is the main one that I've kind of thought about, and I think it's got like an oil cooler kit as well. It's got a lot of stuff. I'll list it all in like the description as well, all the mods, in case I've missed something. But yeah, some of the problems being, you know, with a manual gearbox, and obviously it's not a 0 to 60 kind of car, but regardless, stock, it says they did it in 5 seconds, 0 to 60, 0 to 100, 12.5, and 30 to 70, 5.17. And then it's got the best times there, which again, I'll show this all on screen. The best with a Stage 2 was 4.03 seconds to 60, 9.76 seconds to 100, and 3.9 seconds 30 to 70. And then it's also got the average time there. And it sort of says about the wheel horsepower, and it says basically that's 600 newton meters, 405 wheel horsepower. Launch limit reduced to 4,500. So this car has launch control. So basically when you're on it, it basically will hold it at 4,500 instead, because it's being reduced, because obviously it felt launch control wasn't optimized as much. Speed limit removed, RPM limit raised, shift indicator light optimized, so it's better for power and economy. Temperature protection, related protection sort of added. And basically this was the main bit. Added protection. During testing, it quickly became to light that 2.3 EcoBoost engine suffers considerably with high temperatures. This not only affects the top end power output of the engine, but can cause considerable damage. To prevent this from happening, our calibration team have incorporated temperature protection, an additional safety feature that limits engine power under extreme temperatures before damaging the engine. So they know this car is not necessarily as good as it could be. You can obviously get Revo Stage 1, which is less power, and it kind of explains everything about it about the RS. Like, I never knew any of this stuff, but it's super, super cool. And fuel economy apparently is the same. I've been able to get over 30 mpg out of this, so I think that's great. If you're interested in like the Revo software or anything like that, and I'm going to put my face a little bit on screen so you can see me. Yeah, there I am. I would recommend it. I had it on my SD200. I think it improves the car. I think it makes it more usable basically. And if you look after it, it will look after you. But I think it's enhanced some of the parts to get it to a really good stage. And yeah, if you have any questions about the Revo software, let me know. I think it's made this a true RS, something that the likes of Ken Vlock would be even more proud of. Proper rally heritage, really, really quick, really, really enjoyable, great noise. There's so much I can talk about this car, and I hope this gives you a little bit of an overview about the Revo Stage 2 software. And yeah, comment below if you have any questions.